Remember that famous song from a few years back now, in fact, quite a few years back. If you're like me, you do remember these wonderful ballads from the 1980s, Peaches and Herb, reunited. But what does that have to do with the former royal known as Prince Harry? As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. Hope you're well today. And thank you as ever for your lovely comments about some of the recent videos. Fascinating stuff, as I say. The stuff with the Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, you know, strange stuff, isn't it? You really just should keep out of anything like that because, of course, you know, you're meant to be impartial, but clearly, as he approaches his retirement, perhaps he now just feels the time to speak out. Not working out well for him, though. A lot of backlash, not just here on social media, but, of course, in print and digital too. Such a shame because, of course, he did so many nice things, including the coronation and the wonderful service of our late monarch, Queen Elizabeth. But that, as they say, is the world of politics. Back as ever to your breaking royal story of the day. This story, for me, you know, is one really quite fascinating because as the ongoing battle between Prince Harry and the Mirror Group newspapers escalates, people forget, of course, there are other people involved in this particular case. Soap stars, pop stars, sports stars, everybody now is coming for their pound of flesh regarding the alleged hacking claims by the newspaper and editors at the time. Really serious stuff. And what I would say to you as someone who works in the media, of course, this was the strangest time, wasn't it? Because nobody understood the technology that was around. I mean, if you recall the recent TV researcher, producer that was working with a very major US star, apparently she was recording conversations on her phone and they had no idea. You know, you never know really where you're going to be recorded or indeed now spied upon, do you? I know, me having a jammy Dodger on a park bench, anybody catches that picture, frightening. But of course, the serious implications are this. What's going to be now interesting for Prince Harry, as nobody's told you the other day, once he gets into that witness stand, he could be ripped to shreds, quite frankly, because they're very ferocious. You know, they spent years holding their craft. That's the gig, you know. But what I find fascinating now is this. As Harry's always talking about invasion of privacy and how he doesn't want his, you know, privacy invaded, etc. Seemingly, he's not too concerned about invading the privacy of exes, including the paramour Chelsea Davy. Very keen on Chelsea was Harry. Very, very keen indeed, let me tell you. But they could be forced to be reunited. This is something I am told that Miss Davy, now a mother, simply doesn't want to do. She wants to keep out of the limelight, not interested. But by default, you see, Harry could drag her back into the court. I kid you not, and as ever, we have to say allegedly. Now, this could be fascinating in itself because obviously they haven't seen each other for years. I'm sure Meghan, her tresses will be alight with anger at the thought of this, but this is what happens when you open a can of worms. You see, the bottom line is, basically, Prince Harry's claiming that the Mirror Group newspapers curtailed his romance, curtailed the love of his life, all thanks to the exposés of certain things in their newspapers, allegedly. And what's interesting here is, you know, they will want to counterbalance that with his rather hazy memory, as he's admitted in his book. So for now, while everybody thought that could have been the end, simply he couldn't be. And if His Majesty's government request her presence, whether that be via social media, Zoom chat or something like that, it could happen. And that could be catastrophic for, of course, Prince Harry, because naturally his version of events may differ from hers. And more importantly, everything could hinge on what she, or indeed he, finally says. I'm sure Meghan's totally behind this story though, don't you? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.